Hello, thanks for coming to walk with me today. I'm walking at 1.8 miles per hour, and we are officially in the month of December. So happy December, everybody. So the last time we went on a walk together, I was actually outside in my driveway, which was an experience. I had to do a lot of edits because the neighbors' dogs were barking and cars kept coming by, and I'm sure people who are used to filming like in public or outdoors like are not bothered by that type of thing after a while, but it feels pretty awkward to be like talking to yourself, holding your phone or camera up, like just in your driveway. And actually, at the end of my video, I just so happened to look over, and my neighbor was on their front porch, and I'm like, oh my gosh, how long have they been there? Not like it matters, but also it just feels kind of like it gives me the ick, you know what I mean? But anyway, I hope that you had a lovely Thanksgiving if that's a holiday that you celebrate. For me, my in-laws came over and my brother came over. This year, my mom already had plans to spend Thanksgiving with her brother, so other parts of my family, but my husband's parents actually don't have family except for my mother-in-law's mother in town. So, we wanted to make sure that they had somewhere to go for Thanksgiving. Although they love traveling and they might have been just fine traveling and not going anywhere. But, we just thought it would be nice to spend Thanksgiving with them. And originally my brother was going to host at his house, but he's doing some remodeling and it wasn't quite where he wanted to be yet. So my house is the plan B if his stuff wasn't ready in time. And the whole time I thought that he had been communicating with my mom about everything since he was going to be hosting. So I never brought it up to her. And then by the time I did, it was too late and she already had plans. But hey, that's okay. We're going to try to coordinate a little bit better next year. So the food turned out great. The company was great. Like, it was just very, like, since it was pretty small, so there was what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us, plus the dogs. It's less stressful when you have a smaller number of people, less people. You have to worry about pleasing with food and making sure certain dishes are there and all that. But it was great. This year, I actually ate the sweet potato casserole that my mother-in-law makes. In the past, I wasn't always like a big sweet potato fan, but slowly I started branching out. So like I tried some sweet potato fries somewhere once and I'm like, okay, these are good. And eventually I tried making baked sweet potatoes and I'm like, okay, this is good. And I think by the last time she made it, I might have been eating potatoes, but last Thanksgiving we were on a cruise, so it would have had to been the one before, and I'm not sure. But this year I was ready to give it a try, and it's actually so good. And it's so amazing to me that she can make it so well because she doesn't eat sweet potatoes, but everybody else in the family does. So thanks to her for doing that. Well, I can't believe we're already in December. And today I actually met up with my best friend, Nancy, and re-recorded our last episode of our podcast for the year 2024. And it's going to air not the same day that this video is, but next Wednesday it will air. And it's all about like what our goals and intentions are for 2025. So that's what it's going to be about. So I'm really excited about that episode because, most people do think about what their goals and things they want to get accomplished in the next year are in December. Some people plan their goals throughout the year. All of that is great, but we're hoping that episode will inspire someone and they'll be ready to plan their goals as well. Maybe it's even you. But now, as we are in December, that means my step goal is increasing, and I've been at the 8,250 mark for the month of November. And actually, this is the first month in a really long time that I haven't made my step goal every single day. because normally I do, and I make it happen no matter what. And I don't know if it was the holidays. I don't know if it was being off of my normal work schedule because I took a few days off. I don't know if I've been doing too much. To me, those are all excuses, and I should have been getting my steps every day. I got them most days, but I can think of like a handful of days where I didn't get them. And I was like really disappointed in myself because I really made this a priority this year. So I decided, instead of taking a small increment, I'm just going to go right ahead to 9,000 steps for this month of December. And then that should put me, by the end of February, I should be at 10,000 steps, which is the ultimate goal. And of course, if I go beyond that, that's awesome. But that's really where I want to be. And that really aligns with some goals I have for next year, which is basically just to continue to get healthier. I want to make sure that I'm getting my steps. I want to make sure that I'm losing the weight I want to lose, because honestly, if you, like, for example, I want to lose 50 pounds next year. And really, if you break it down, that's only around a little over 4 pounds a month. So about a pound a week. That's nothing extreme. That's nothing crazy. That just means paying attention to my body, eating when I'm hungry, stop eating when I'm full, and being very mindful about what I am eating as well. I was really into counting calories for a while, but the problem with that was it didn't fix the real issue with food for me, which is that I was using food to drown out some feelings or to reward feelings. And I never thought of myself as an emotional eater, which I've mentioned on other walking episodes, but I noticed that if I was having a good day, I would want something that tastes good, almost like a reward. I never thought about it that way, but really that was happening. So now that I've been working on being more of an intuitive eater, I stopped counting calories. I actually made a video a few back about how I lost some weight. I have not lost more weight. I have not gained the weight back. I just lost it and then kind of stopped. And I guess it's because that initial, even though I wasn't counting calories anymore, I did cut back what I was eating, because I actually stopped eating when I was already satisfied, and I don't have to finish my plate, or I don't have to order as much food if I'm going out. You know what I mean? So I'm planning going into 2025. I really want to make sure I'm eating less processed foods, more whole foods. I'm not saying I'm getting rid of all processed foods. I'm not saying my diet's only going to be strictly whole foods, although I'm sure that is the most healthiest way. I'm just not sure that that's something that can be maintained for life. But the goal we're going to have here in my house is to eat 3 meals a week that are whole foods. That could be a combination of breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever. Although these days, I don't really eat lunch or breakfast. It's normally one or the other. It depends on how I feel. That was something that changed a lot for me too, because I always felt like I had to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I feel like it's very drilled into us when we're children, and it's hard to get out of that mindset. But I think I was definitely eating lunch sometimes when I wasn't hungry, or breakfast when I wasn't hungry. So now I just wait every day, and I end up doing something more like a brunch. So between a breakfast and lunchtime when I'm finally hungry. And I'm not hungry again till dinner, but if I am, I will eat. I've noticed that I'll start going for just an apple between brunch and dinner, and I'm totally good. So it's really all about listening to your body, and that's something that we kind of unlearn when we're kids. If you ever see little kids, they really want something to eat, and you give them something and they'll take a few bites and kind of disappear, and you're like, oh, they just want to go play. They don't even really want to eat. But it's because their body is like, hey, I'm good. And they just listen to their body. They just stop eating. And somewhere along the way, we lose or don't listen to those cues our body gives us anymore. And that can become a problem, obviously. But I'm looking forward to 2025, going into it with a better relationship with food, because these past few months, I've definitely grown a better relationship with food. Do I still have work to do? Absolutely. But it's way better than it's been probably most of my life than I can remember. So I'm really grateful for all the tools and resources that I have used And I've mentioned to you on this channel the Weight Loss for Busy Physicians podcast, and there's a book, How to Lose Weight for the Last Time, by the same Dr. Katrina Ubel. I mean, she does talk about basically not consuming like a lot of sugars and carbs, and I don't necessarily do that, but she has a lot of other great tips that are really helpful as well. So that's been great, and I've been listening to that podcast, The Adult Chair, and just working on all kinds of things mental health wise, plus starting therapy, all these things to get my feelings and emotions and everything, and really understand them and get them, I don't want to say in order, but like to feel them and not to try to numb them with food or anything like that, because that's what happens to a lot of us. We don't even realize it, but food often can take the place of something for us, or numb us to just get through the day. And I definitely didn't think I was doing that. The more I learned about myself, I definitely was. Well, as Christmas is approaching, you see I already have on my Christmas attire. I swear I had another Christmas shirt as well, but I can't find it, so there's a good chance I decided I had too many and donated it in the last year or so. But this year, we did something a little different. My sister-in-law did this. It's something I would so think to do, so I thought it was so cool when she did it. But basically, she set up a spreadsheet and gave everybody a tab on it. And we are either linking our Amazon list or linking directly to things, if it's not on Amazon, that we want, and then going in, buying whatever, removing it. I mean, because at this point, our children are teenagers, and it's not the same as buying for children. The rest of us are adults, and it's almost like we don't need to buy each other presents because all of us are capable of buying things when we need or want them. But of course, it can be hard sometimes to buy things that you want for yourself because you can't justify spending money on something, or you just never get around to buying it. I don't know. Obviously, the holidays are about more than just giving gifts, but that is a tradition that we do. So it'll just be really cool to see how it goes, because my in-laws, my mother and father-in-law, I don't know how much experience they have using Google Sheets. The teenagers at least should have some, and all of us, like me, my husband, and his brother, and our sister-in-law, we're at the age that we definitely should know how to use that. So we'll see if anybody gets duplicate gifts or anything like that, but it'll still be good. Now, if we can only find the time that everybody can be in the same place at the same time, because my brother and sister-in-law live in Alabama, and the kids both, as you know, live with their mom. So, so it just depends on when people have things planned. But of course, we kind of have to plan around when our brother and sister-in-law come to town, because they're like a little over 3 hours away. And when they're here, that's the chance to see them. So I know at least my husband and I will, and we're hoping the kids will be able to fit that into their schedule to come when they are actually here. Because my mother-in-law always does this really nice Christmas breakfast, because normally we would go there like Christmas morning, but even if it's evening, it doesn't matter. The tradition is Christmas breakfast. She makes these homemade mini cinnamon rolls that are so good. And she normally does like a pig in a blanket type thing, but with sausages, like for breakfast. And she makes eggs and cheese grits. My brother-in-law really loves this like French toast casserole that no one else really likes to eat because it feels like a soggy thing of bread, but he loves it. And then we typically have piles of presents and we all open our gifts. So that would be great if that can continue this year, but we'll see what works out in the schedule. At least at some point we will all be together. I actually saw this little video on TikTok. It's like, how well do you know your girlfriend kind of thing, and it goes between two options and your boyfriend is supposed to pick for you. One of the questions was like, does your girlfriend prefer Christmas Eve or Christmas morning? And I'm like, oh, that's tough, because they're both exciting for different reasons. Like, they just feel different, right? But my husband actually chose wrong, because he thought I'd prefer Christmas morning, but I actually prefer Christmas Eve. I think back to being a child, waiting for Santa to show up. Like on Christmas Eve is when we would be with my grandparents, my aunts and uncles, and then after we used to go to this place that was called Flood Town. I don't know what the actual town's name was, but it was like, I don't know, maybe 45 minutes away from my home. And this neighborhood used to go all out with Christmas lights, like every single house. And car lines would go through. Like it was free. I think you could donate to like help pay their electricity bills if you wanted to. But basically you just drove around to see the lights, and it was so awesome. And we went every single year, and eventually they did stop doing it. I think they tried to get a discount because it was surely costing a lot of money to run all those lights every day, probably for the whole month of December if I had to guess. And I don't think they got one, but that was a tradition we had. And then, you know, like I said, you'd be waiting, trying to stay up late, waiting for Santa to come. And just like that anticipation, that excitement, to me, that was all on Christmas Eve. Obviously on Christmas morning, you get up and there's your gifts. And as a kid, that's super fun, but it didn't have the same magic to me that Christmas Eve did. So if I had to choose, it's Christmas Eve for me. I love that feeling, that anticipation. It's like everything you've been waiting for. Can't sleep. I don't know. That's it for me. But I would love to hear, what are your traditions for the holidays in December? No matter what you celebrate, or if you don't celebrate at all, do you have anything that you do or your family does as a tradition, or something fun, like the things I mentioned with the lights and the Christmas breakfast? Like, what do you do? And I hope as this month continues, you will also start thinking about what goals you have for yourself in 2025. Thanks so much for walking with me today, and I'll see you next time. Bye.